Okay, it's time. Another crappy talking about stuff video. This time I wanted to talk about the coronavirus, aka I've seen another person on YouTube here call it the baloney virus. Because now the virus is so overblown. That's my working precept here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in a month I'm going to look like an idiot. But I don't think so. This virus is so overblown. So overblown. What do I base that on? And we probably shouldn't be shutting down our entire economy for it. Maybe we should. But either way, it's overblown. Here's the thing about it. First of all, we got to talk about the media. The media hates Trump. And I'm no fan of Trump myself. I think he's an idiot. I think he's a blowhard. I think he's not even conservative. That's the thing. I'm conservative. He's not conservative. He goes and spends money like a drunken sailor. I may be ticking off a lot of, if anybody even watches this video, but I may be ticking off some Trump supporters. I know there's a lot of them. But to me, Trump has always been like, he's better than the alternative that's out there. Like, I don't like Trump, but do I like him better than Joe Biden? Yeah. But anyways, the point of this video. So all that to say that we know that the media hates Trump and they're trying to make this coronavirus thing as bad as possible by spreading as much fear as possible so that they hope that he doesn't get reelected in November. They hope to do as much damage to the economy as possible by really playing up this coronavirus. Like, we know that. I guarantee if Obama was president, it'd be like the opposite. The media would be telling you how this virus wasn't nothing. Don't worry about this virus. The deaths are very low, all that stuff. So just a little background about where the world is at in regards to this virus. What the motivations are here. But I wanted to talk about like some of the ways they lie. This may be a hour video. I mean, my videos go so long. A lot of them go 30, 40 minutes without me really even trying. This is such a wide, broad-ranging topic. Who knows? But I'll try to keep it a little concise, I guess. Just my main point is, and I wanted to shout out also to a guy named Clay Travis. He's a sports guy. You can Google him if you don't know him. I'm big into sports, so I know him. Now, this guy kind of gets on my nerves. He actually blocked me on Twitter because I told him one of his opinions was dumb or something. So he blocked. To me, if you're going to block me on Twitter, I always kind of go like, oh, you're so childish, It just makes me laugh. I've been blocked by Bill Simmons, another sports guy, too. And that was when he actually read his tweets, because I think now a lot of people have devolved on Twitter into this troll mode. They just put out some tweet that's a total troll, and then they don't even read the replies. Like, I guarantee Skip Bayless does this, and I think Bill Simmons has devolved into that. So he doesn't even read his Twitter replies anymore, but a long time ago he blocked me on Twitter. Because, I heard it, I said something he didn't like. Oh my gosh, gotta block this guy. So ridiculous. So I think it's kind of petty and childish, and whenever somebody blocks you on Twitter, I mean, for the most part, of course, sometimes it's good, but yeah, Clay Travis blocked me on Twitter, and I'm a conservative. I agree with a lot of his political views. The thing is, he's very annoying as a sportscaster to me, because like he always wants to talk about the same dumb things. Like, he's always big into college football. College football is probably his number one favorite sport, and I'm just like, really, dude? Like, and he'll spend like an hour talking about the coach of East Tennessee State or something. I'm just like, you don't care. I don't care. Talk about the NFL. Talk about the NBA. Talk about something I care about. I like college football, but as a strong second to like pro football, strong second, way second, it's kind of like, okay, NFL's the main dish and college football's like a side dish, distant side dish, But Clay Travis, he thinks I always think it's a little weird, like 40-year-old dudes like obsessing over like college kids and high school kids. There's some 45-year-old dudes that are so into high school football, and it's just a little It's a little weird to me. Same thing with 40-year-old Clay Travis obsessing over these, oh, the sophomore at so-and-so state. I don't know. It's a little odd, but yeah, so Clay Travis gets on my nerves a lot in his sportscasting ways, Like every Monday morning I'll be not excited, but I'll tune into him sometimes, and he'll be talking about college football, and I'm just like, I don't care, dude. I don't care, It's just annoying how he pushes the same crap all the time. It's so obvious. And he's really anti-NBA, which I get being anti-NBA's political stances, but I don't like, I mean, to me, as I've grown older, I've kind of realized the NBA is kind of the best sport. I hate to even admit it because I'm a football guy originally. But it's like, the thing about the NBA that makes it so great, and I have a whole video about this, is that it's the sport where talent matters. Like, I'm sorry, but last year, somebody was 4-12. Oh, the 49ers, they were 4-12 last year, and they went to the Super Bowl. That happens all the time in the NFL. There's no rhyme or reason. You can't. It sounds stupid, but there's really no such thing as talent in the NFL, in my opinion. It comes down to a lot of luck, schemes. A good quarterback matters some. And nobody in sports wants to say that a lot of it's just luck, but that's what the NFL is. It's just luck, And the NFL is even better than like MLB and NHL. They had a big deal about the NHL the other year. Expansion team made the finals, and I was just like, that shows what a joke your sport is. Like, can you imagine an expansion NBA team making the finals, So that's but anyway, so I'm going way off tangent here as usual. Let's get back to coronavirus. But I was just mentioning Clay Travis. So I disagree with a lot of his sports opinions and a lot of his sports thinking. And I think he's kind of arrogant. That annoys me too. Like, okay, we get it, dude. You're like I don't know. He's always just talking about how great he is. That's kind of annoying. But I totally agree with him about this coronavirus stuff. He's been preaching from the beginning that we're just overblowing this. And he's so right. So go check out Clay Travis's work. I think I'm going to discuss it somewhat, or he does you can just Google him on YouTube. He does like a daily show. His one on March 27th, this past Friday. Was that? Yeah, that sounds right, because it's his 30th Monday today. His one on March 27th was excellent. He just summed up a lot of his points so concisely. It's like a little daily kind of half-hour show. Hey, I think it's on Facebook originally, and then he puts it on YouTube or something. And he does a live chat, and he talks about, whatever's going on. And he mainly's been talking about coronavirus lately a lot. And like I said, he's kind of been one of the only people in the media I know just saying, like, look, this stuff is so overblown. Like, stop overblowing this stuff, And he always does a disclaimer, and I want to do it too. Nobody wants people to die. Nobody's against death more than I am, he always says. Because as soon as you say, like, the coronavirus is over, people go, oh, you don't care about people. Oh, you don't care about all these people dying. But I was just going to say he's informed some of my points or put them concisely. So, like, I don't know. I wanted to give a little credit, I guess, to him, or shout out, or footnote, whatever you want to call it, reference. I don't know. What do they call that? Where you, reference? I don't know. One of his main points is some of these numbers, I want to get into some of the numbers. So the media is all at Twitter, right? Because 2,489 people have died of coronavirus to date as of 5:15 a.m. March 30th, 2020. 2,489, right? That sounds like a lot. And that's what the media does. They throw raw numbers at you. Oh, man, so many people are dying. 2,489. You have to have some rationality. You have to have some reason. You have to not be an idiot. And you have to understand that that's in a context. That's another key thing that Clay Travis always harps on. Context. Contextualize this. There's so many people in the United States. There's 330 million people in the United States. So 2,489 dying, it's not very many. It's not. And again, nobody wants people to die. It's terrible and everything. The Clay Travis disclaimer. Nobody is against death more than I am, as he always says. But these numbers are low. The media just wants to scare all the idiots out there, so they just put out, oh my gosh, U.S. death toll surpasses 2,500. They'll be able to put that out soon, and it sounds like people who don't know math, go, oh my goodness, the world's falling down, 2,500 people. They don't realize that that's nothing. That's nothing, Here's another thing. Here's one of the keystones I will touch on. The flu. The regular seasonal flu, okay? The CDC estimates I've seen are that this, I guess, past flu season, past or current, is it still going on a little bit? This current flu season in the United States, it's probably kind of winding down, because doesn't it wind down as the weather warms up? But this past/current flu season in the United States, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, estimated that 22,000 to 55,000 Americans died from the flu. Now, that's a lot of, that's what you call a broad range of estimates, right? But it is what it is. I guess there's a lot of cases where they may not know exactly what killed somebody or whatever. So the lower bound estimate of the people that die from the flu every year in the United States is 22,000. It could be up to 55,000. Okay? Put that in perspective. So we're back to our coronavirus, 2,489 people. You don't have to be a math major to see it's like 10%. 10%, I bet somebody, this is interesting, I bet somebody on Twitter, before all this, when this was just getting started. Hang on 1 second, please. As all this hubbub and hysteria was just getting started, I bet somebody on Twitter that the coronavirus would not kill as many as the lower bound, mind you, of CDC flu death estimates. In other words, that it would be less deadly than the flu. So I basically bet him that it would kill less than 22,000 people. Now I should have stipulated, we didn't stipulate a time frame. I should have stipulated like before September, because I think there's a good chance we could have like a second wave of this coronavirus that's not going to be as severe, but so I guess to me it looks like I could, if you wanted to put the bet forever, forever the coronavirus may kill more than 22,000. So I did kind of mean like, let's say before this next fall, this current outbreak, assuming that as the weather gets warm, coronavirus is kind of going to die off. But I think we're probably going to have a second wave in the United States this fall. Like I said, it's probably not going to be as bad or whatever. And by then we won't be all so afraid of it. But yeah, so I should have stipulated that. I did. And I just bet him that some sort of bet like, look, this coronavirus is not going to kill as many people as the flu, I think. And he took that bet. And at this time, probably like 200 people had died of it or something. It was very, very early. It was like a couple of weeks ago at least. But I'm looking pretty on the bet. I'm sorry, but we're at 2,489. And yesterday we had our first like major decline. We only had 264 deaths. And the day before that we had like 500 deaths. So, I don't know. It's too early to call a trend here. But we just had a major, 50% decline. All you hear about this coronavirus from the people that want to hype it on Twitter, the Corona Bros, as Clay Travis calls them, is how it's exponential. And they're idiots. They don't understand what exponential means. But you know what exponential doesn't mean, guys? It doesn't mean you're falling 50% in a day, that's for sure. Actually, it would be doubling. So it should have gone from 500 deaths to 1,000 deaths in a day. Instead it went from 500 to 264. Anyways. So yeah, I bet this guy that it would kill less than 22,000 people. And I'm still pretty confident in my bet. We're at 2,489. We had 260 yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so even if it kills 500 a day, let's call it at 3,000 deaths right now, just to round it up. So that means it needs to have 19,000 more deaths. If it kills 500 a day, it would take it the next 38 days to get to 22,000. Is it going to kill 500 a day for the next 38 days? I really don't think so. So I'm real confident in that bet, and just wanted to throw it out there. It's funny to me. Some other points about this crib some of them kind of cribbed from various people, or just there's another guy on YouTube. He's the one I stole the baloney virus game. I don't normally watch his videos, but he came on a video and he was all in like a gas mask and a hard hat and elbow pads, and he even had like a clear acrylic face shield on the hard hat, I think. And his point was, he's like, oh, I'm all ready for the coronavirus. His point was just how stupid it all is. He was like, look, you can fall down any given day and hurt your elbow. Why don't we all wear elbow pads every day? You never know when you could fall down and hurt your elbow. You never know when something could just come out of the blue and hit you in the head. So everybody needs to wear hard hats everywhere. Never mind, we need to be wearing these face. What if something hits you in the face? We need these face. You realize his point was that people are getting so, like, that's stupid. Like, you can't live life like that. Another point he made was on automobile accidents. I think he said like 40,000 people a year in the U.S. die from auto accidents. And these are horrible, horrible deaths, People get mangled brutally. He talked about how he had a relative who was an EMT who would tell him all these terrible stories of things he saw, in car accidents. Because car accidents ain't pretty, So his point was like, so why don't we all just stop driving? Like, if we're so afraid of this, why do we get in a car? So we're so terrified of the coronavirus, but we get in our cars, If we're so laser focused on getting rid of all these deaths, why don't we stop driving? Why don't we, and Clay Travis said, why don't we have people heckling other people on Twitter like, oh, you don't care about lives, you're getting in your car, like they do about the coronavirus. Oh, you don't care because you're gathering in a group, or, you're not social distancing, shame on you type of thing, So why don't we, we have people getting on their little high horses and being like, oh, I can't believe you terrible person. You're going to drive somewhere today. You don't care about other people's lives, And then, so it's just so stupid. Here's another big touchstone I always come back to. Total deaths in the United States each day. Do you know how many there are? On an average day? Well, it's hard to find exact figures, but roughly it's about 8,000. About 8,000 people die of various causes every single day in the United States. 8,000. And out of those, the major killer is heart disease, I believe. I think it's 3,000 people a day. It's heart disease and cancer. 3,000 people a day die of heart disease and cancer. I think it's just heart disease. Out of those 8,000 deaths a day, 3,000, the largest cause is heart disease. So look, we've had 2,400. The first case of coronavirus was January 20th. So it's been like 2 months, almost 3 months, 2.5 months of coronavirus hysteria. We've had 2,489 deaths. So that's less than dying one day in the United States from heart disease. One day. Is everybody, oh, we got to stop heart disease. Oh, are we going to have a ticker? I guess some news sites have tickers of coronavirus. Are we going to have a ticker up there of heart disease death? Why not? It's killing like 20 times as many people. Because how many days has it been to rack up these under 3,000 deaths? It's been at least like 20 days since this epidemic really started getting going. In those 20 days, 3,000 have died every single day from heart disease. So the heart disease total during this time is like 60,000, and this is 2,489. Where's all our outrage and, oh, we gotta stop this about heart disease? It's not there for some reason. Weird how that works. I could go on and on. I don't even know if coronavirus videos are allowed on YouTube. I believe they are, but I don't think they're allowed to be monetized. I don't care about that because my channel's not monetized. But I hope I don't get banned for this because, these leftists out there, they control all these media platforms and they could very well, oh, this guy's spreading false information about coronavirus. Ban his channel. I don't know if that happens or what, but it wouldn't shock me. So yeah, I just wanted to point out some key things there. These numbers are so low. They're so low. Don't be dumb and look at the absolute number and get scared or whatever. You have to understand how many people that is. Look at the deaths per 1 million population as well. 8. Look at some of these other countries. Italy, 178. So you can do a little math on that. That means Italy's death rate is about 18 times ours per capita. 18 times. That's another thing that the media and these Twitter liberals all want to do is portray the U.S. as being as bad as possible. They'll point out we got the most cases. They were so happy when that happened. Oh, the USA is #1 in coronavirus cases. They threw a little mini celebration on Twitter. But so that's supposed to, once again, they hate our healthcare system because it's not completely socialized yet. I mean, it's about 80% of the way there, but so they'll, they try to make it, oh, the U.S. healthcare is so bad. See, we got the most. They'll ignore that per capita we have way less cases than these other places. Look, total cases per 1 million population. We've got less than Italy, we've got less than Spain, we've got less than Germany, France, all these socialist European countries. We've got less than death rates, way less than everybody except Germany. And they want to ignore that and go to we've got more total cases. And that's also because I guarantee we test more than anybody. And another thing is we have a huge population, Well, that goes to the per capita numbers, but it's you can't compare Italy with 60 million people with the USA with 330 million. We've got almost 6 times as many people, And it's funny how the liberals understand per capita, because Clay Travis pointed this out as well. Like, whenever you say, they'll say, oh, we got the most cases. And he's like, well, per capita, no, we don't. And then they'll be like, they don't seem to understand per capita in that case. But then whenever you say like, well, we've been doing a lot of testing, they'll go, oh, per capita, we've tested less than these other countries. And he goes like, so now they understand per capita, but when it suits them, they don't. That's kind of funny. But anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to, this is already a 20-minute video, and like I said, I don't want it to go too long. But here's another thing. I wanted to drill down into the state stats just to show how not only do we have not that many deaths from this thing, but they're mostly in New York, which is a blue state, of course. And if you look at these, you notice the coronavirus is heavily concentrated in blue states. That's none of my business per the GIF, but it's kind of funny to me. Look at this. New York, blue. New Jersey, really blue. California, these are top cases. This is sorted by cases. California, really, really blue. Michigan, basically a blue state. Yeah, I voted for Trump by a whisker in the last election. But overall, you would have to consider that a heavily blue state. Massachusetts, need I say more? Florida, it's kind of purple. It voted Republican this last president, but it kind of goes back and forth. It's kind of a purple state, I'd say. Half red, half blue is what purple means. Washington, heavy blue. Illinois, heavy blue. So basically, like 7 of the top 8, and this one is just in there because Florida has a really high population. If you broke it down per capita, Florida would be way down there. This is because Florida has like 900 billion people. It's the second most populous state after Texas. But I wanted to look at some of these state death tolls that really break out. So you have few deaths, and then you have that almost 1,000 of them are in New York. So you start to get in a situation where these death tolls, like 161 in an entire state in 2 months of the pandemic? Is this for real? And you have these people on Twitter acting like this is the worst epidemic to ever hit the civilized world? Okay, are you serious? I counted there's still like 14 states that have, 14 states that have 3 or fewer deaths, I think it was. I mean, look at this. There's all these states. New Hampshire has 3, Maine has 3, Montana 1, Hawaii none, West Virginia 1. I count 14 states have 3 or fewer deaths still after all this time. 14 states. And then I counted like 22 states are, under double digits or something like that? I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I think 22 states are still in single digits for deaths. 22. Like, that's unreal how low these death numbers are. 22 states have less than 10 deaths. These are states. These have millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Another thing, 44 states have lost less than 100 people to this. 44! Like, you can see it real quick here. There's only 6 that are over 100. And it's not even close. Like, I looked, okay, which one's the next one that's going to cross 100? Well, here we have Georgia at 83. You know, it's probably going to take, it may hit it pretty quick. But other than that, most of these states are like well under 100. You know, they're at 60, 48, and then you go down here 17, 15, 12, 16, 14. You know, it's going to take forever for these states to hit 100. Oklahoma 16, you know, 8, 6. You know, you have nothing. These numbers are so low when you look at the population and the percentages. Here's another way to look at it. Look at my state, Texas. 38 deaths. It boggles my mind. 38! This is a state, I think our population's around 38 million. I know it's 30-something million. So that's like 1 death per million people. This is after weeks and weeks and weeks of freaking out about this virus. 38 deaths. Like, I can't, it's hard to put into words how low these numbers are. You know? It's unreal how low these numbers are. Like I said, you're talking about in Texas, not like in the last day or anything like that. Since it started, 1 death per million people. You know, like, probably more people die from stubbing their toe than this thing. Seriously. It's insane how low these numbers are. After all this time, too, you know. And, yeah, yesterday, if you look, you can go look, it has the deaths by day. You see we hit a huge low. Now, this may be somewhat temporary. Maybe we'll have 600 die today. Maybe we'll have 700. But it doesn't change my overall focus. Like, even if you have 700, 800, 1,000 die a day, those are low numbers. We normally have 8,000 die every single day in the United States. You're talking about, even if this thing ever got to 1,000 deaths a day, you're talking about 1/8 of the average daily deaths being added. 1/8! And this is this pandemic that's sweeping the nation like the Black Plague, according to the media. Please. Here's another aspect of it that's going to sound morbid or that I don't care. And it's not that way, but it's just facts, okay? Most of these people that are dying, they're very elderly. You know, they're like 80, 90. On top of that, they have underlying conditions like diabetes, heart disease, whatever. I don't know what cancer. Probably Alzheimer's, stuff like that. So they're elderly and they have one or more co-conditions of morbidity, underlying conditions to go with the fact they're elderly. So the total, like, if you look at it logically, a lot of these people, it sounds callous, it sounds horrible, and I don't mean it that way. I know I would feel terrible if I lost a loved one to this. It's terrible. You know, nobody's against death more than me. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way. But looking at it rationally and reasonably, a lot of these people were going to die anyway. Soon, you know. These are, if you lose a 90-year-old with heavy health conditions, you know, he had maybe a year or less left anyway, you know. These are not, like, taking the cream of the crop of society here, you know. And, of course, no one's for death, but, and you know, I don't mean to sound terrible, because I know it would be easy to come off that way. But looking at it, like I said, we have to have logic. We have to have rationality. We have to have reason here. A lot of these people would be passing soon anyway, you know. That's why I've made the point that, like, however many of these deaths there are, the actual effect on mortality rate is probably almost nothing, because a lot of these people are going to die anyway. Yes, I know that there are cases of, like, young people. Of course, they're publicized out the wazoo because of the scare tactics the media wants you to have. I swear I got in this argument with somebody about Twitter about these numbers and things. And you know what they tweeted back at me? They tweeted back at me some scare. Craig Travis calls it fear porn. Some scare video of, like, it was just somebody recounting how, boy, it sucks to have coronavirus and it feels like you're drowning and this and that. Okay, you know, that's your argument? I bet it really freaking sucks to have the flu too and be dying from it, as many more people do, you know? I mean, I don't understand these people. They're so blatant in their fear mongering, you know. That's your argument? A video of that somebody, okay, it sucks to have coronavirus. It sucks to have cancer too. It sucks to have heart disease too, but you're not posting those videos, you know. It's so blatant, the cheap scare tactics they use. But they're counting on these idiots sitting at home to see that video. Oh man, coronavirus really sucks. I better really be scared, Come on, people. So, yeah, so not only are these death tolls low, but the actual effect of mortality, in other words, people dying that weren't going to in the next year or so anyway, is probably even lower, even much lower, How many of these are deaths that wouldn't have died before too long anyway? 500. So this number is unbelievably small in the scheme of things. Now take that into account, Here's a example of it. I found a site of European mortality. I found this on Twitter with somebody who was agreeing with me. He pointed this out to me. And it's basically like it's charts. I don't even understand it, but it's charts of mortality, right? Here's the people dying. This is it says week 12, 2020. I think this is the latest one. And there's no difference in the mortality rate in any of these places because of coronavirus. Look at these charts. Look, there's no spikes. There's nothing, it's not even Italy, the worst place. Maybe there's a little spike there at the end. You see what I'm saying? And they even address this. They say, oh, this is the pooled number of deaths. You see there's nothing really going on. It's business as usual in terms of mortality rates. They even say, over the past few days, the Euro Momo Hub has received many questions about the weekly all-cause mortality rate and the possible contribution of any COVID-19 related mortality. Some wonder why no increased mortality is observed in the recorded mortality figures for the COVID-19 affected countries. So basically saying there's no increased mortality from COVID-19. And people are questioning that because of this media scare nonsense. So the answer is that the increased mortality may occur primarily at subnational level or within smaller focal areas and or concentrated within smaller age groups, may not be detectable at the national level, even more so not in the pooled analysis at European level, given the large total population denominator. Blah, blah, blah. Furthermore, there's always a few weeks of delay in death registration and reporting. Hence, the year mortality figures from most recent weeks must be driven some cost. So they're basically giving some. So they're basically saying there's increased mortality in some areas, some age groups, but you can't pick it up on the larger trends. So this thing is so small, so non-existent, that you can't even pick it up in a mortality graph. And they're basically saying some areas maybe you could pick it up. Some age groups you could pick it up. But you can't pick it up overall. Which means that it's nothing, Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I wanted to point that out. And this video is already 32 minutes. It looks like I wasn't so wrong. So what other points did I want to make? So here's some more scaremongering. U.S. virus deaths could reach 200,000. Sure, good. Sure, dude. I'm happy about my bet that it's not going to reach 22,000. And they're putting 200,000. How much would you want to bet? I would love to bet all these media people all their money that this isn't going to happen. It's just, and you know what? None of those media people would make that bet either because they know they're lying. When they post stuff like this, I like to bet Fauci his personal fortune against mine because I'm pretty sure his is way bigger. I'd like to bet him any day that it's not going to kill 200,000 in the United States. At least this year, I'm sure ever, but let's cut it off this year or something. Let's just say ever, because with that number, he's got no chance. But, so yeah, and this is another one I want to, U.S. poised for brutal month as virus surges. No, just no, Worst public health crisis in a century. What nonsense, what absolute nonsense. A crisis that will become starkly severe this week. What absolute garbage, I just showed you. There's nothing. 7 deaths in North Carolina. 7. I can't repeat that enough. 7. In a state. It's unbelievable, this nonsense. What else? I know I had some more points that I'm forgetting now. But just that this social distancing and this lockdown stuff, and what a bad effect it has on our health. Do you think that it's good for our health that we can't go to gyms, that we can't go to Dark reality beats a retreat. Dark reality. What a bunch of nonsense. Yeah, Trump, honestly, I don't mind these social distancing guidelines that much. It doesn't change anything. About all it means to me personally is that I can't go browse like a Best Buy. That's about all it means. You can still go to the grocery store. You can still go to wherever you need to go. The cops ain't stopping anybody, especially here in Texas. They can't do that because there'd be all these screams of racial profiling the instant they did. All the black people would be going nuts that you can't stop me, you're only stopping the black people. So they can't stop anybody. That's too controversial. Even if they wanted to, which I don't think they do. So the quarantine's meaningless, you got all these images on social media of people at the park and all this, I respect it, but if I want to go to the store, I'm going to go to the store, So like I said, it doesn't really affect too much. And pretty much everybody I know already works in some sort of industry that's either considered quote unquote essential retail, like you work at Target, Walmart, I don't know, grocery stores, or they work for like a delivery service, which I think is considered essential, like FedEx, UPS, or you work, you know what I mean? Most jobs already, or you work in medical, which is another big one that's essential. So you see what I mean? Almost everybody's job is already quote unquote essential, So these don't really have that much effect. I worry about the effect on the economy, obviously, but like part of me thinks it may not be so horrible because, like I said, we don't make anything. Like I hate to say, but service sector jobs are not producing anything important. What actually gives us wealth is like making things, and all our manufacturing is in China anyway, and they're okay, So I think all the manufacturing is in China. The important jobs that produce things here are protected anyway. What you're talking about being cut out is like McDonald's jobs and stuff, which is not cool, and it's not healthy, but it's I feel like the core of the economy is probably kind of protected, amazingly so, but I still worry greatly, don't get me wrong. Because, I think the economy, look at all these headlines trying to bash Trump. Every single headline just trying to just bash Trump. What a absolute nonsense. So yeah, I just wanted to go over some of this stuff and just 38, Texas, 38, the worst crisis, dark days ahead, blah, blah, hellish month, 38. This is unreal. So yeah, I know I'm missing some things I wanted to touch on. Oh, I also wanted to touch on, like, what do you think the health consequences are of, like, telling overweight people they can't go to the park to exercise because social distancing, they can't go to the gym because it's closed. How many more people are going to die because of all those things, Some direct things like unemployment causes suicide rates to go up. When people are unemployed, they're more likely to kill themselves and feel bad, So we've got all these unemployed people. What's that doing to suicide rates because of all this, social? It's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if, that's more deaths than coronavirus, especially meaningful ones of young people rather than old people that have underlying conditions anyway, So there's all these things to take into account. It's, I just wanted to point out what just a joke most of this coverage is. And, even if all these numbers go way up, there's still nothing. That's the point, Even if 1,000 people died tomorrow instead of 200 as died yesterday, those numbers are so low in a country of 330 million. Like I said, 8,000 people die per day. It's one of my keystones I come back to in the United States every single day of some cause or another. 8,000. So we're not even close to half of that so far. We're at maybe a third, if that, maybe a fourth. So in several more days, we might hit one single additional day of deaths. Once we get to 8,000, once this deaths number reaches 8,000, which it ain't, it's taking its sweet time right now. You had 264 yesterday. So once it gets to 8,000, we'll have one additional day of deaths over, 2 weeks at least that this stuff's gotten really bad. Over at least 14 days, it's going to be probably at least 2 weeks, I would estimate, till you get to 8,000 deaths, if ever. So, you'll be talking about one additional day of deaths out of like 30 days. That's 1/30th additional deaths. 1/30th. 3%. These numbers are this has no effect on anything. That's my point. And even I fall into this trap because I see these numbers and they're big. Oh my gosh, we're going to have 1,000, and they grow. And, I got to keep reminding myself, like, in the scheme of things, these numbers are so low. Like, even if they triple, even if they go 10x, even if 9,000 died in New York, it's nothing. It's nothing, 9,650 deaths in New York would be nothing compared to 30 million people live in New York, So that's what I wanted to point out, just that, like, I think even as the raw numbers go up, and people realize that this is all nonsense. Like, you go out in the world and you see not everybody's dying, And I think that the liberal media, they can only keep up this fear-mongering so long because people can just look around and be like, nobody's dying, what is going on here, So I don't think they're going to be able to keep people scared forever. And, like I saw there was a bunch of people at a park yesterday, and, the social media wants to put up these scenes, like, look at these terrible people. And somebody said, like, man, aren't these people scared? What is wrong with them? Aren't they terrified of this terrible virus? And it's just like, no, they're not, because it has no risk to them. They're young. The odds of dying altogether are slim to none. And then you add in the fact if you're young, the odds are, you got a better chance of getting hit by lightning than dying of the coronavirus if you're under 40, So no, they're not scared because they're reasonable people, and they can look around and see, hey, nobody's croaking and falling over because of the coronavirus here. Nobody I know is dying because of the coronavirus. It's just facts. Anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to go into all that. And I think history is going to look good on the people who said it was overblown. Like I said, again, keep these numbers in mind. 8,000 deaths a day normally. 3,000 deaths every single day in the United States from heart disease. Auto accidents. And the fact that, like, you can't... Another great point that people... You have to trade off safety for, like, life. Or, like, an economic benefit. Like, how many people are going to lose their lives because of indirect societal effects of this? Another thing about the quarantine. People are so happy about the quarantine. What they did was just take all the young people, all the kids out of school, and put them in with old people. All the college kids were kind of sequestered off by themselves. Now they took them all home, where they're going to live at home where grandma and grandpa may live, that's vulnerable. And now grandma and grandpa get coronavirus from the kids, and they're at risk. That's what happened. Like, I think even the New York governor kind of admitted this. Like, just quarantining everybody may not have been such a great idea, Look at New York. They got hammered. And I guess I wanted to speak a little more, I hate how long this video is going, but about, like, I don't know what really is going on with this virus. I don't know to this day if social distancing is a good idea or not. Because part of me says, like, well, it ain't working in New York, But then I see also there's been an explosion of cases in New York, so maybe the virus could get bad if unchecked, So I don't know, but my gut is the only real way out of this thing is herd immunity. That's the only real way out, because you can't tell me that just by keeping everybody apart and everything, like, that's never going to work on the long term, because it's just going to flare back up, and you can't eradicate it from society, You're always going to have some people with it, so you can't social distance forever, you just can't. So it's unsustainable. See my point? Like, so to me, my mind has a hard time wrapping around social distancing as an effective strategy, because I think that it can help in slowing the rate, and that's good because you don't want to overwhelm the hospitals with all these patients on ventilators and stuff. I get that. Like, that's logical to me, okay? So maybe by social distancing, you're slowing it out. Like, not everybody's hitting the ICUs at once. So you're not running critically out of ventilators and stuff. And alternatively, you can rush a lot of ventilators and things into production so that you can handle it. Again, for the places that actually need this, because the death totals are really low. So, but like I said, to me, you're going to have to pay the piper sooner or later anyway. Basically, everyone's going to get coronavirus. It's just a matter of when, So you either slow the pain and draw it out, which may have some validity, or you just take your medicine and get it over. There was even, I read a guy, an epidemiologist, really smart guy from Israel, and he pointed out one of the things, it's kind of a footnote to the story, but it stuck with me, was that, I think it was swine flu. Israel basically did this, hard quarantine over swine flu, I think was the gist of this story. And the USA didn't at around the same time, whenever the swine flu hit, which I think was in 2011 or something they were saying, 2009. And basically the United States took it all in one shot, and so we didn't have it come back the following year. Israel did this quarantine thing, so they didn't have it as bad the first time, but they had it over 2 years. It came back the next flu season. So that to me is kind of what we're doing here. This is going to come back now, whereas if we did not social distance, it wouldn't have. So, again, it's the same amount of pain either way. You're just either taking it all at once, or you're slowing it down, and you're taking it spread out. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Except with the added cost of shutting down your economy, it's a pretty big deal. So I don't know which way to go. I'm not really against social distancing. I'm not really for it. It seems maybe like it's helping, but like I said, to me, it's obvious, just thinking about it logically, that you're not going to eradicate the disease from the population. You're just not. So what is the point of all this social distancing? Once we unsocial distance, it's going to flare back up again, I feel like. Unless we've developed herd immunity, which is another thing I wanted to touch on, because we may be. Look at these number of cases. This is still small compared to the total population, but that's a much bigger number now. We've got 142,000 cases. But I think a rule of thumb is, I read somewhere, is that 10 times as many people probably have it or have had it as have been tested. So really you're looking at 1.42 million people have had it or have it. So now you're getting somewhere. It's still small on a population of 330 million. But you might be starting to develop some herd immunity, I would think, especially in hard-hit areas like New York. There may be some herd immunity going on in New York by now. So I think that's what's kind of going to stop this. Is really the only things that are going to stop it are herd immunity over the long term and the warmer weather, which probably is one reason Texas is looking good. Besides that we're a red state and our healthcare is not garbage. So yeah, herd immunity and the heat are going to get to it, I think. And those are the only long-term solutions. And it's probably going to come back this fall, I guess, like I said, because we made it, because we social distanced. We didn't take our medicine all at once, and, that may have been smart. I don't know. So yeah, that's what I got about this thing. Just don't believe the hype. These numbers are so small, Just keep in mind, 8,000, that's the number of deaths per day. Keep in mind the mortality rate. You can look, it's not affecting the mortality rate. Keep in mind, flu, 22,000 deaths. Coronavirus so far, 2,489 deaths. Again, we had decreases. Decrease in cases, huge decrease in daily deaths. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. And don't listen to the media. They're full of it. They want to make this as bad as possible so Trump doesn't get reelected. Even Louisiana, 151 deaths. This is one of the terribly hit places. 151. It's almost just like a facepalm looking at that number. 151 in an entire state. It's unreal. 132 in California. Good grief. That's bigger than it. That's almost the size of Italy. And 132 people. Anyways, so yeah, that's just my wide-ranging thoughts on the coronavirus, aka the baloney virus. There's some things to keep in mind, Clay Travis calls it fear porn. Don't just sit at home and marinate in fear porn. There's so many people that really want this virus to be so bad. He pointed out too, and I've noticed too. There's so many people that really want it to be bad on Twitter and stuff. You know, they're so excited about every bad news. And most of them are liberals. Not all of them, but most of them I've noticed are liberals. Probably like 98%. They want it to be really bad because they want Trump to not get reelected. And yeah, that's all I've got. I think we've turned a corner on this. The media massively overblown it. I guarantee this video is going to look good in a month, you know. It's not going to, as they say, age poorly. And, you know, again, just this thing just doesn't affect anybody. Like I say, in my state, Texas, 38. It doesn't affect anybody, you know. That's ridiculous. But we shut down the whole kit and caboodle for it, didn't we? So yeah, that's all I've got. I'm sure I'm missing some important points. That's why I'm kind of stalling. I always kind of stall at the end of my videos. I'm trying to think of what I forgot because I don't even make notes for these videos. I probably should. I mean, I probably should at least make some incredibly basic notes about like what points I want to hit so I don't forget something. Because I hate that feeling if I turn off the video and it's like, oh dang it, there's that other really big point I wanted to hit and I forgot. Damn it. But I can't think of it. So let me stall for a minute and think here. I went over Clay Travis. He's putting out really good info. They hit the main points of the flu deaths, 22,000. Deaths per day, 8,000. You know. Yeah, I guess I'll just call it here. 51-minute video.